Most people over 60 are dehydrated at the cellular level. Even if they drink enough water, here's how to fix it. As we get older, there's a quiet transformation happening inside our muscles that often goes unnoticed. Even with healthy eating habits and regular physical activity, our bodies start to struggle with staying hydrated. And it's not about how much water you're drinking. It's that your cells lose the capacity to hold onto the water they receive. This matters more than most people realize because muscles that lack hydration are weaker, cramp more easily, take longer to heal, and begin to deteriorate faster. This isn't just about growing older, it's a direct result of something called cellular dehydration. And it's one of the silent contributors to a condition known as sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass. But here's what might surprise you. There's a very specific, science-backed way to support your muscle health as you age, and it doesn't involve sports drinks, powders, or pills. It starts with upgrading how you hydrate, and how your cells actually use that water. I'm Dr. William Lai, and today we're going to uncover how hydration plays a central role in muscle maintenance after 60, and what simple daily habit can help your cells retain water more effectively to keep your body biologically youthful, the symptoms we associate with aging. Slower recovery, less muscle. Increased fatigue are often blamed on the passing of time, but beneath that surface lies a deeper, lesser known cause, a decline in how well your cells hold and use water. Most people think of dehydration as simply not drinking enough. But what's happening inside your body as you age is more complex. Even with 8 full glasses a day, your cells might still be drying out from the inside. This issue is known as functional dehydration, and it becomes increasingly common beyond age 60. So, what exactly changes? One key player is the cell membrane, the barrier around your cells that decides what enters and exits. In younger people, these membranes are flexible and precise, but with age, they stiffen and become less efficient. This makes it harder for water and electrolytes to move in and out freely. Also playing a crucial role is something called the sodium-potassium pump. This microscopic engine moves sodium out of your cells and brings potassium in, a process that helps control fluid balance. But this pump requires energy, specifically ATP, which your mitochondria produce. As mitochondrial function declines with age, there's simply not enough energy to keep those pumps running smoothly, and your ability to regulate hydration begins to slip. Add to that changes in your mineral levels, especially magnesium, potassium, and sodium, and the result is a loss of the balance needed for water to move effectively into cells. This mineral imbalance reduces what's called the osmotic gradient, the force that helps pull water into the places that need it most, like muscle tissue. Even if you're hydrated from the outside, your cells are parched on the inside. Picture your cells as tiny sponges. In your younger years, these sponges are soft, springy, and able to absorb water effortlessly. But with age, they start to stiffen and crack. No matter how much water you drink, these older sponges simply can't soak it up the way they used to. That's what cellular dehydration looks like, and it impacts far more than just your thirst. Muscles, in particular, are made up of over 75% water, and they rely on that water for every vital function. It's not just filler. Hydration supports muscle contraction, repair, protein construction, and even the transport of nutrients in and out of cells. When muscle cells start to dry out, those critical processes begin to falter. You're more likely to suffer injuries, and recovery from simple activities becomes sluggish. Over time, the muscle begins to atrophy, shrink, and this is a core part of sarcopenia, but this isn't limited to just your muscles. Virtually every organ system in your body depends on proper water levels inside cells. Your brain, heart, liver, kidneys, all of them rely on optimal intracellular hydration to function well. When your cells are dehydrated, they don't communicate properly. Energy production slows, repair mechanisms stall, and damage starts to build up. It's like trying to run a machine without enough oil. Friction increases, parts wear out faster, and breakdown becomes inevitable. This kind of inner dryness sets the stage for chronic conditions like insulin resistance, mitochondrial dysfunction, and a faster march toward biological aging. Modern longevity science has brought forward a vital insight. Hydration isn't about how much you drink, it's about how effectively your cells retain and use that water. The old advice of just drinking more fluids is incomplete, especially for those in their 60s and beyond. Researchers are now even exploring hydration levels as a marker of biological age. When cells are well hydrated, organs are more resilient, healing is faster, and your risk of disease decreases. But the exciting part is that this decline in hydration isn't inevitable. It's not a destiny written in your DNA, it's a solvable problem if approached correctly. By targeting the molecular and cellular processes that regulate hydration, we can help reverse some of the damage. Supporting your body's energy systems, fixing electrolyte imbalances, and helping your cell membranes stay flexible can all make a huge difference. When you give your cells what they need, minerals, energy, and structural support, they can start to behave more like they did decades ago. That means more energy, stronger muscles, quicker recovery, and greater metabolic health. This is the true goal of longevity science, not just surviving longer, but maintaining full body performance through every phase of life. And it all starts with something simple, rethinking hydration as the foundation, not just an afterthought. Especially after 60, drinking water smarter, not necessarily more, is the secret to maintaining strength from the inside out. Part 3, 5. 100 words. One of the most underappreciated reasons for muscle breakdown in older adults isn't a lack of movement or protein. It's a subtle and ongoing dehydration that takes place deep within the muscle cells. We usually think of dehydration as something acute. You forget to drink enough, you feel tired or dizzy, and you fix it with a bottle of water. But in people over 60, dehydration often becomes chronic and cellular. The body stops signaling thirst properly, and cells gradually lose their ability to retain the water they're given. There are no immediate warning signs, no dry mouth or intense thirst, just a gradual loss of cellular function. This inner drought is a hidden driver of muscular decline. As the years go on, skeletal muscle mass begins to shrink, a condition known as sarcopenia. This process may begin slowly after the age of 30, but after 60, it accelerates. Some studies show that people in their later decades lose between 3–5% of muscle mass per decade. The result, a dramatic drop in strength, coordination, and independence. Tasks like climbing stairs, getting up from a chair, or carrying groceries become unexpectedly difficult. Worse, diminished muscle mass raises the risk of falls and fractures, two major threats to longevity. Hydration is at the heart of this. Muscles are made primarily of water, and that water isn't just sitting around. It fuels the entire system. It facilitates contractions, carries nutrients into the cell, helps generate energy, and enables protein to be built or repaired. But when water inside the cell becomes scarce, everything slows down. Enzymes work less efficiently, protein synthesis stalls, even transporting simple molecules becomes a chore. Think of a hydrated muscle like a well-oiled engine. It runs smoothly, responds quickly, and can handle stress. But a dehydrated muscle is more like a rusted machine. It breaks easily, operates sluggishly, and takes forever to recover. With too little water inside, the muscle fibers themselves become more fragile, less elastic, and more prone to tearing, even from small stressors like walking uphill or doing light household chores. And because the body is already operating in a deficit, the healing process becomes slower and less effective. There's also the issue of communication. Inside the muscle, water acts as a medium for sending signals in, electrical and biochemical. These signals tell the muscle how to move, how to recover, and when to grow. Without enough hydration, the muscle cell's ability to listen and respond breaks down. It stops reacting properly to insulin, which means less glucose and fewer amino acids are pulled in. This not only harms metabolic health, it directly slows muscle repair and growth, and here's where the downward spiral begins. Poor hydration leads to poor mitochondrial performance. Weak mitochondria produce less energy. With less energy, the sodium, potassium pumps falter. Without those pumps, electrolyte balance collapses, and when electrolytes are off, water can't enter the cell. The problem feeds itself, and aging accelerates. As muscle mass declines, so does your metabolic engine. With fewer muscle cells operating efficiently, the number of calories your body burns at rest drops. Blood sugar control starts to slip. Insulin resistance begins to creep in, and your body's entire energy regulation system begins to falter. This is why sarcopenia isn't just a matter of looking or feeling weaker. It becomes a serious risk factor for chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even neurodegenerative disorders. But the root issue often goes undetected. Dry, underperforming muscle cells that no longer hydrate like they used to. Yes, many conversations around preserving muscle in later life focus on dietary protein, strength training, or supplementation, and rightfully so. These are important pillars, but here's the missing piece. None of those strategies work well if the muscle is dehydrated. A muscle that lacks adequate water can't utilize protein efficiently, can't repair damage properly after exercise, and cannot sustain the mitochondrial output needed for metabolism and cellular repair. So how do we interrupt this cycle? The first step is to understand that hydration is more than drinking fluids. It's about delivering water into the cell and keeping it there. That requires a supportive internal environment. Electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, and sodium need to be balanced. Mitochondria must have the energy to power the sodium, potassium pumps that pull water across cell membranes, and inflammation, which makes those membranes stiff and uncooperative, must be reduced. This is where simple daily rituals become powerful. You don't need fancy supplements or costly rehydration powders. You need something elegant, effective, and time-tested. Water enhanced with unrefined sea salt and lemon. Why? Because this mix supports both sides of the hydration equation, electrolytes and cellular energy. Let's begin with the salt. Refined table salt, found in most kitchens, is stripped of its mineral content and often includes artificial additives. Sea salt, by contrast, contains a rich spectrum of trace minerals that your body recognizes and uses. These include sodium for fluid balance, magnesium to support enzymatic reactions, calcium for muscle contraction, and potassium for electrolyte harmony. Together, they help restore the electrical charge across cell membranes, allowing water to move efficiently where it's needed. Now add the lemon. On the surface, it seems simple, a splash of citrus, but beneath that tangy flavor is a powerful molecule, citric acid. This compound is central to the energy-making cycle inside your cells known as the Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle. It fuels the production of ATP, the cellular currency that keeps every mechanism, including hydration, running. As we get older, this process slows down. Lemon helps jumpstart it naturally. Together, sea salt and lemon create an environment that mimics the body's ideal internal chemistry. You're not just drinking flavored water. You're supporting your body's innate ability to pull water into the cells, hold onto it, and use it to power muscle function and mitochondrial activity. This small act, repeated daily, helps reverse one of the core dysfunctions of aging, cellular dehydration, and lays a foundation for strength, energy, and metabolic health. Now let's talk about when you hydrate, not just how. Timing is critical, especially first thing in the morning. This is when your body is emerging from a prolonged fast, during which you've had no food or fluids for several hours. While you slept, your cells were still hard at work, breathing, repairing, detoxifying, and they were using water and electrolytes to do it. So when you wake up, your body isn't just low on fluids. It's running low on minerals and energy substrates as well. This makes the early morning one of the most strategic times to replenish. In fact, your body is naturally primed to absorb water and electrolytes more effectively during this window. Hormones like cortisol begin to rise shortly after waking, not only to help you feel alert, but also to manage blood pressure and fluid balance. However, cortisol also triggers your body to release sodium and water. If you don't replenish those losses quickly, you may start your day in a deficit, feeling foggy, stiff, or low on energy. And for older adults whose thirst response is already diminished, this subtle dehydration can go completely unnoticed. That's why this simple practice, drinking a glass of water with sea salt and lemon right after waking, can be so powerful. It provides your cells with what they need at exactly the right time. The salt delivers essential minerals to rebalance your internal fluids. The lemon helps kickstart digestion and energize your mitochondria. Together, they set the tone for better hydration, sharper mental clarity, and stronger muscle function throughout the day. But the benefits don't stop there. This ritual also activates your digestive system. Lemon juice stimulates bile production from the liver, which aids in breaking down fats. Meanwhile, the salt encourages the stomach to release hydrochloric acid, crucial for digesting proteins and absorbing key nutrients. If your first meal of the day contains important building blocks like amino acids or antioxidants, this pre-meal hydration helps your body make the most of them. From a mitochondrial standpoint, this morning practice is like flipping the on switch. After a night of rest, your mitochondria transition from maintenance mode to full production mode. They need water, minerals, and citric acid to fuel that transition. Without those ingredients, the shift is sluggish. With them, energy production ramps up quickly. This means more energy for your brain, faster reaction times, better blood sugar control, and improved physical endurance. It's especially important if you plan to exercise later in the day. Now compare that to what most people do: skip water and go straight for coffee. While caffeine has its place, it also dehydrates and spikes cortisol even further. Drinking it before rehydrating compounds the problem. It's like revving an engine with no oil. It may run, but the damage adds up over time. That's why so many older adults feel drained even after a full night's rest and a strong cup of coffee. Their system is already starting the day on empty. Here's what makes this all so remarkable: the impact of a daily glass of water enhanced with lemon and sea salt doesn't take months to show. Within just a week, many older adults report meaningful changes. Less stiffness when getting out of bed, clearer thinking in the morning, more consistent energy throughout the day. But beyond how you feel, there's what's happening on a deeper biological level. With each day you hydrate this way, you're giving your cells what they need to function more like they did years ago. More energy, better repair, and stronger communication between systems. Think of it this way, your body isn't just a collection of organs, it's a vast network of interconnected cells, and water is the common language they all speak. When your cells are hydrated properly, every system, muscular, neurological, cardiovascular, digestive, runs more smoothly. Muscles respond better to movement. The brain processes information more efficiently. Your heart circulates blood with less strain, and your kidneys, which filter waste and maintain mineral balance, become more effective too. Hydration at the cellular level even impacts things like inflammation and immune response. Water is required to transport antioxidants, flush toxins, and cool inflammation before it spirals into chronic disease. When water is lacking inside cells, inflammatory compounds build up, repair slows down, and the aging process accelerates. But when you give your cells what they need, nutrients, minerals, hydration, they become adaptable. Like a green, flexible leaf rather than a dry, brittle one, they don't just survive, they thrive. And here's the most empowering part. Hydration is a choice. It doesn't rely on your genetics, your income, or access to a cutting-edge clinic. You don't need prescriptions, expensive gadgets, or proprietary powders. Just a glass, a pinch, and a squeeze. One small ritual that activates dozens of internal systems. It's accessible, affordable, and surprisingly powerful. It's a perfect example of how longevity science isn't always about the next break. Through drug, it's often about doing simple things consistently at the right time. By starting your morning with this intentional hydration practice, you're giving your body the ideal conditions to repair, energize, and protect itself. And when combined with other smart choices, nutrient-dense meals, regular movement, restful sleep, you begin to build momentum. These habits compound, they layer on top of each other to create real, lasting change. It's easy to underestimate just how profound something this small can be, but nature often hides its greatest solutions in simplicity. In longevity research, we look for interventions that deliver big results without big risks, and this is one of them: a small glass of water, a few grains of sea salt, the juice of half a lemon. And with that, you shift your biology, not just to feel better today, but to function better for years to come. So tomorrow morning, before the coffee, before the chaos of the day, make space for this. One quiet moment to hydrate deeply, intentionally, because aging isn't just about counting years, it's about making each one count, stronger, sharper, more alive than the one before.